That brings me on to my next question. You're on a mission. Like anyone can see you're on a mission.
Upset everybody.
Yeah, love it. Like definitely my kind of mission. But what is your mission? What's the LMPG's mission, and what's your mission personally in the industry that you're in, that you've chosen to work in?
To improve the standard of living of every tenant.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
But that doesn't. People don't buy into that.
How do you do that? How can you do that?
You hit them on price. That's me. I'm being bluntly honest.
Okay.
Yeah. You do it on pure price. You drive traffic on a price. So boilers, kitchens, yeah.
And you're sneaking in quality, aren't you? You're
they haven't realised that yet.
You don't know about it, but you are though.
But I must admit, a few, and I would say, and I'm not just saying it because they're my members. Members now ring up and want quality. Yeah. And that is a change that I've seen probably in the last 3 years. And it's been really good for where I'm sitting, because sometimes you put your head against the wall, you keep hitting the wall, and you think, God, am I getting through it? Is this going to work?
Yeah.
It's all about quality of paint. Yeah. It's like the credit durable mat that I recommend to every member. You can make a mark on it. Yeah. And you can wipe the mark off. I showed my staff yesterday. I've actually wiped the paint off because I didn't paint this office.
Right.
Yes.
This is done in trade.
It's contract mat.
Contract mat.
One wipe, and if somebody gives me a baby wipe, I've got one out there to clean the desk. You wipe it twice, just rub it up twice.
Yeah, I know.
Paint comes off.
I live in a Taylor Wimpey, and when there's a mark on the wall and I wipe it off, then I'm just left with plasterboard, because I got a coat of, or 2 coats of contract magnolia on the wall, and it's just.
You need to upgrade to professional paint, because if you think about the tenant, as soon as a house starts going downhill, they start losing respect for it, and then suddenly they don't care.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So if you put quality products and it keeps nice, you're going to have a long-term tenant. If it starts looking, right. Sorry for my language, if I'm allowed to say that.
It's okay, there's no kids watching this.
Yeah, if it starts deteriorating, what happens then is the house starts to really go downhill. And then tenant loses interest, and then tenant moves out. You go in there and think, oh, bloody tenants trashed me house.
Yeah.
Now, that can happen even when you spend a lot of money on your refurbs.
It depends. I guess it depends on tenant, on the type of tenant as well, doesn't it? And
there's good and bad in everybody.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you that.
I know, yeah.
I've had some horrible people in my houses and some really lovely people. But no, that's my main aim, is to improve the quality of life and give them better quality products. Now, because I was in a room with Prince Charles many years ago, and he said everything starts in the home. The condition of the home, the way the parents are, it's the way the children are going to turn out. If we're not careful and don't invest in our youngsters, we are going to lose 3 to 4 generations of kids.
Yeah, especially now, I would say.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right.
COVID now has just brought it up a level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on from that, and in the same kind of arena, as a landlord, I mean, not as a businessman, we all know you've got, LMPG is a very successful business, and really, you haven't spoken about what LMPG actually does, but towards the end, I'd really like you to tell everyone, because it's an amazing thing that you're doing. But as a landlord, what keeps you up at night staring at the ceiling? If there was something that would keep you up and not be able to sleep, what would that be in relation to your properties, your tenants? What worries you?
No, but in my early days,
your early days,
not so much days, because experience tells you where your problems are going to come, and you normally head them off. But in my early days was, I've got a loan that needs to be serviced. If I don't service that loan, I'm going to lose my house. So when you get to your 4th or 5th house and you start going, I hope they pay their bloody rent, because I'm going to find £2,000-3,000 at the end of the month.
What could stop a tenant from paying their rent?
Well, I was nearly all LHA tenants, and the big thing for us, there was 2 turning points for us, was that, I've forgotten the name of it now, that benefits was then going to be redirected. It was an article. of Parliament was that the tenant was going to receive the benefit. Now suddenly they've got in their bank account £400-500 extra, and it did happen a few times where suddenly you have a choice. If I got your rent, and you can't get it because I've got it, you've got a situation where a tenant suddenly got an extra £600 before, if they didn't have enough food or lecky, electric by the way, and it was on the key, do I pay the rent or do I put food on the table, and do I put lecky or gas on the meter?
Yeah.
What would you do?
You obviously look after your kids first, don't you?
Absolutely.
So you've got no electricity, put it in the meter.
Yep. And that really
You lose out. Yeah.
And that really happened. And that's a moral thing. And then, and don't ever go to one of your tenants' houses at Christmas. I've been in situations where there was no food, nothing in the fridge, and you've got 2 young kids.
That's not a good situation to
Yep.
be in. I guess...
I gave her £500. And that's not to say, look at me, that was just because I rang up a business partner so they can transfer £500 to this account.
Yeah, because it's a human business, right?
Oh, they banned me. My business partner banned me going to my tenants on Christmas.
Would you say that, so we were talking to someone previously who's all about, they call it the human side of property. And would you agree that property is all about people?
Yeah.
That it's about trust and relationships, and the relationships with tenants, relationships that tenants have with agents, with landlords, with contractors. It's about people, and if there's no trust, then there's no relationship.
Yeah, it depends, because I know some landlords that run it like a professional business, and they are brilliant landlords. Yeah, I was more personal, and I was always up there on a Friday. I used to go and collect the rents, so I could, keep an eye on them. And I'll give you one story. This is, again, I had a tenant. She got drunk, and she threw a brick through a double glazed window. It was the whole of the front of the house. Threw a brick through it. She rings me up and says, "Oh, someone's thrown a brick through my window." And I went up there and I went, "What happened?" She went, "Okay, threw a brick through the window."
She just told you.
Oh well, God. She's been with me for 18 years.
She just lost the plot one day.
No, she's got drunk. And then, must have been, and she's a brilliant tenant, absolutely fantastic tenant. And I can't tell you the name of her, but she's still, she was in my second ever house, and she's still there today. Anyway, going on story short, she rang me, must have been about a month later. She went, "My front door handle's broken." I said, "How did you do that?" "Oh, I just opened the door for it." So I speak to her and I said, "What happened?" She went, "I slipped on the step, I was drunk. And I grabbed the door handle and I rent the door handle off." I went, I said, "Right."
Nightmare.
So I went to the car, because I opened the back up, and because I've got a spanner. You know the bar that goes through the centre of the door, spindle, I went, "That thing," and they're there. So that's your door handle for the next couple of weeks. I'll teach you to keep begging me. And she went, I said, "I'm going to order it." I said, "But that's your punishment, there." And I completely forgot about it. Completely forgot about it. 18 months later, her mum rings me up. And this is a true story. She says, "Nick, don't you think you've punished her enough?"
Oh my God.
I went, "What? What are you talking about?" She went, "The spanner." I went, "No." I went. So I'll get it sorted. So I got it sorted, and she was telling me stories. Every time I went to a pub or a club, they searched your handlebars, your handbag, and everyone went, "What's the spanner for?" And I died. I just went, "No." And that's a true story. So I can't even remember what the bloody question was. Why I told that story.
We were talking about keeps you up at night, and about so the whole point was
nothing keeps me.
You hit it on the head. So not non-payment of rent, because when you've so what I hear all the time is that the fear is about because that affects your life. So if the rent doesn't get paid, then you can't cover what you need to cover, and it starts a chain reaction. Would you say, I always ask a question that follows on from that. Would you say that a happy tenant is less likely to purposely withhold rent than an unhappy tenant? Have you ever had an unhappy tenant threaten or actually withhold rent?
No, because they know, yes, that
But it was a fear, right? So there is a fear there.
they'll get kicked out. We'll start proceeding against them. I've only done it a couple of times in like 10, 15, 20 years now. 20 years, God, I am old. 20 years. I've only moved on a few people, and this is again a moral thing. Why do I want to drag someone into court that I know that can't afford it? And again, you don't get born nasty. You don't get born, yes, in that way of life.
Yeah.
You end up there because sometimes of circumstances. I've had a tenant live in one of my house free of charge for a year. What's the point in chasing somebody who has nothing?
Yeah.
The only thing you're going to do is get a massive solicitor bill, and then you still get no money out of it, and you're going to go through that pain and the harder and all the stress of going to court. Now, if you can't get a tenant out, yeah, then that's the only option you've got. Because I was LHA tenants, yeah, what'd you do? They don't have any savings. So I normally knocked on the door and went, I've got two options here. You leave and get it sorted, or we drag you through the courts, and I don't really want to do it that way. And I used to be honest with them. And they went, we'll go.